Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the 1179th meeting of the Board of Library Trustees, January 15th, 2026 at 6 o'clock p.m. Executive Assistant Bender, may I please have a roll call of the board?
Roll call.
May we have a roll call?
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, Trustee Uno?
Here.
Trustee Easton?
Here.
Trustee Wong?
Here.
Trustee Wittenberry?
Here.
Trustee Butler?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And now to lead us in our salute to the flag this evening, I'd now like to welcome local Girl Scout L. Schmitz, representing Troop 70483 in the Palos Verdes Service Unit. So please come up to the podium.
Face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you very much, Elle. She's actually working on a literacy program to complete her Gold Award in the Girl Scouts program. But thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, item number 4, can I have a motion to adopt this evening's agenda as presented?
I move we adopt.
Motion made by Trustee Wong. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes. Okay. And next, a brief section, President's remarks and board member comments. All branches of the library district will be closed next Monday, January 19th, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Next week, the board will meet in a special meeting budget workshop. It will be an open session, but it is a special meeting. That's Thursday of next week, January 22nd, at 11 o'clock, here at the Peninsula Center, but in the Purcell meeting room. I also wanted to note some sad news here at the district, the passing of our colleague, Lorenzo Orozco, a very long time and valued member of the staff here of the PVLD community. He will be greatly missed, and our thoughts are with his loved ones. Those are all of my remarks. Are there any other remarks from other board members? Okay. Number 6, Executive Assistant Bender, are there any comments from the public for this
No, sir.
section? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar, can I have a motion to approve the items and recommended actions in tonight's consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion made by Secretary Wittenberry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. And then number 8, nothing to consider here. Number 9, Director Addington.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's just a few events I'd like to bring to the board's attention this evening. The first of which is the State of the PV Chamber and Board Installation event. This will be on Friday, January 30th at the La Venta Inn. It is a ticketed event, so if any of the trustees would like to attend, please let Executive Assistant Bender know, and we will purchase tickets for you. This event will include basically an update from the board, or apologies, from the chamber about what they're doing, but it will also include a special recognition of prior PV Chamber Executive Director Eileen Hupp, who unfortunately passed away over the holidays. So we're very sad about her passing, and there will be a recognition for her at this event. The second event I'd like to bring to your attention is the PV Rotary Club's annual Educator of the Year event. This is on Thursday, February 19th, and this will be up for additional discussion later in the meeting. I also want to remind everybody that the Living History Museum of African American Heroes, one of our own very lovely events here at the Peninsula Center Library, will be happening on February 22nd. That is a Sunday. It's a really wonderful event, so I do hope you have an opportunity to stop in for even just a few minutes. It's an ongoing and fabulous function that we do with many of our local partners here on the Hill. And although it's not listed in your agenda, I also just wanted to plant the seed that the Public Library Association Annual Conference is in April. It's from the 1st to the 3rd, but early bird registration is now. That is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so plan accordingly. Again, if any trustees are interested in attending that conference, please reach out to Executive Assistant Bender and myself, and we will help coordinate that for you. Those are all the events to bring to the attention of the board at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right. Moving on in the agenda to number 10, a very special portion, our annual staff recognition service milestone segment, and it's always an exciting one. As board presidents, it's a real pleasure to be able to open this portion of our meeting. We have the opportunity to recognize and celebrate members of our library district staff whose milestones reflect not only years of service, but a lot of dedication, care, and deep commitment to the library community and the Palos Verdes community at large. So as we proceed, I will ask each honoree's supervisor to come up to read a brief narrative from the podium. We will then invite the honored employee to join at the podium for a photo opportunity and the presentation of a certificate. And then the employee being recognized, of course, will be invited to share a few words should they so desire. So let's get going. I'd like to welcome first Facilities Manager Daniel Gutierrez to the podium to present the certificate and say a few words about Facilities Technician Saul Cerda, who has been with PVLD for 10 years.
Good evening, everybody. I am proud to recognize Saul for an incredible 10 years of service to the Library District. Saul joined us after working with Bennett Landscaping, bringing with him a strong foundation in grounds and irrigation work. Over the past decade, that experience has grown into a wide-ranging skill set that supports every corner of our libraries. From janitorial services and event setups to maintenance and repairs, especially irrigation. Saul's work is often behind the scenes, but its impact is felt by staff and patrons every single day. What truly sets Saul apart is his commitment to growth and professionalism. He doesn't just show up to work to do the job, he looks for ways to do it better. A standout example of this is Saul earning his HVAC certification, a significant achievement that now allows our district to handle more heating and cooling needs internally. This has strengthened our operation and reflects Saul's dedication to learning, problem solving, and being a reliable resource for the entire team. Saul is also a collaborator, someone staff can count on, whether it's preparing a space for a community event or responding quickly when something needs attention. His steady presence, positive attitude, and pride in his work help keep our libraries welcome, safe, and functional. We are deeply grateful for Saul's 10 years of service and professionalism he brings to our district every day. Congratulations, Saul, and thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Good evening, everyone. I wish I could double it and give it to everyone back. I'm very grateful to be here. I thank everyone for all the hard work you guys do. And I'd like to sum it up quickly, and our department lost an important teammate, and it's just a reminder that what a great place it is to work here because I don't feel alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next 10-year staff member to receive recognition is Circulation Clerk Ivan Stobietsky. Ivan could not join us this evening, but Circulation Manager Ketsi Diaz is here via Zoom to say a few words about Ivan. Welcome, Ketsi.
We're going to bring Ketsi over on Zoom, and then we'll jump back into our slideshow. There we go. And I'll need to hit the... So Ketsi, hang on just a second. I'm going to switch back into the slideshow, and I'll let you know when we're ready. Okay, Ketsi, we're ready for you.
Hear me okay?
Can you speak a little louder?
Can you hear me okay?
There you are.
All right, Yvonne, congratulations on 10 years at PVLD. Yvonne started at PVLD as a volunteer in the Young Readers Department. After many compliments on her volunteer work, she was hired as a page before being promoted to a clerk. Yvonne is a very hard worker and has great rapport with the patrons. As a page, she was extremely detail-oriented, often spotting tricky labeling and shelving issues. As a page and a clerk, she has often helped out at our various outreach and after-hours events, such as Whale of a Day and most recently the Community Art Show, helping attendees make art purchases and check out any books that catch their eye. Yvonne is also a backup clerk for our ILL services, and her attention to detail is very much appreciated for that service. In fact, we had a very unusual, very rare ILL request from another library this year. It was our first time, and Yvonne was able to figure it out and create a full process for us going forward. Now that institution knows they can count on us to help fulfill their ILLs. Since Circulation took over ILL services, ILL fulfillment has increased every year, and Yvonne's thoroughness and diligence has been a big part of that. Thank you, Yvonne, for 10 years.
Yay.
Thank you, Ketsi.
Thank you. The next group of employees have been with us for 20 years. I'd like to first welcome IT Supervisor Laszlo Latkotsi, who will be presenting to IT Administrator John Jacobson.
John started working at PVLD in April of 2005 as a very much needed part-time employee in the Information Technology Department and became a full-time employee a year later. As we all have experience, John has a strong customer service orientation and is always willing to help staff with their technology needs. John has also provided assistance to many of our patrons who have always provided positive feedback. John has grown professionally in his time at PVLD, from starting out with working only on computer desktops, laptop units, which he still does. John has progressed to working with servers, wide area network equipment such as switches and routers. John is the administrator of our district-wide telephone system and all of our audio-visual systems at all of our locations. John also has spearheaded many other projects over the years. John is also always willing to help with extracurricular activities such as Staff Day and Peninsula Friends Foundation events and others. I routinely hear compliments from staff. John's friendly demeanor, skill set, and his positive attitude. He always treats everyone with respect and kindness no matter how busy he is. In his free time, John enjoys music, hiking, biking, road trips, and spending time with his son, Tro, who happens to be here in the audience tonight. Thank you, John, and we hope to have you for many years to come.
Thank you. Thank you for this and for the nice words. This is a really stable and supportive place to work. I think it's really easy to decide to work here for this long, as you can see how many people are here. I'm grateful to everyone I work with and the work I could do here and the projects I've gotten to work on. And yeah, it is rewarding to be able to provide the community with what we have here and what we could give them, the technology and computers and all that. So yeah, thank you. And I'll probably see you at 25. So.
Thank you. Next, to honor Young Readers Librarian Emily O'Hara, I'll welcome, Young Readers Manager Laura Henry to present.
So one fine day in March 2006, I should say, it was 20 years ago, Emily O'Hara, at that time our newest Young Readers Librarian, set up for her first program in this very room. It was Meet Curious George. On my advice, she prepared for 50 kids. That was a pretty big crowd for us back then. And when she opened those doors over there, we had about 250 people flood in. They were all excited to hear about Curious George and make some monkey crafts. And to meet the famous primate himself, we had a volunteer in a costume. And that I mentioned at that time, we were also in the midst of a big construction project, so there was just lots of noise and things going on at the same time. Well, at her first program, Emily completely rose to the occasion. She enlisted help from the other Young Readers Librarians, and she actually turned what could have been a chaotic, confusing program to a super fun program where everyone had a good time, they felt it was well organized, and everyone felt special, which they always do with Emily. I talk about this program a lot, but the reason that I do is because I was so impressed. It shows how great Emily is right from her first couple of months. She is a team player, and she's creative, she's flexible, she has a sense of humor as she works, and in those years, she's conducted a lot of programs, scores of programs, things like making slime, or lunar rovers, or hanging sculptures, and she does not necessarily do those all at the same program. She is also one of the first Young Readers Librarians to conduct story time just for babies. She was one of the pioneers in that way. And kids and grown-ups who come to her programs and her story times love her animated storytelling style, her fun puppets like Curly the sheep. They love her beautiful flannel board storytelling. A lot of those she actually makes herself. And she has great songs and great action. It's just a lot of fun for everybody. During COVID, she was able to be one of our pioneers in conducting digital story times. Her energy and enthusiasm actually reaches across the screen to those kids at home and still made them feel special and important and enjoy the stories and songs with Curly the sheep. She is truly a storytime expert, and she serves as a trainer for our new librarians, for interns, and for our our world language storytellers as well. So she shares that knowledge with everybody. We're all better for it. She's artistic, she's creative, and she's organized too. She never misses a deadline, never. She makes flyers for all of us, the eye-catching flyers that you see, not just for young readers, but for district-wide as a member of the graphics team. And as I said, she's creative. She makes those flannel boards. She makes props. One of my favorite props is a giant mitten we used to tell an old Ukrainian story. She continues to take on new tasks, and she learns them quickly and seamlessly. Just since the pandemic, she has taken on updating the YR webpage, creating video content to show kids how to use our resources, and she's even made videos on making origami and things like that for all our kids. PVLD and the PV community have been incredibly lucky to have Emily as a Young Readers Librarian for 20 years, and I am looking forward to 20 years more. Thank you very much, Emily.
Hello. Thank you for the recognition. Thank you to Laura for all her kind words. She's been my supervisor, my manager the whole time I've been here, so I really appreciate all her support and her mentorship. And I'm also just wanted to say how grateful I am to all of my colleagues in the Young Readers Department as well for everything. I'm very lucky to be part of the PVLD team. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our final 20-year recipient is Branch Manager Eve James. I'd like to invite her manager, Deputy Director Ryan Roy, to the podium to present for Eve.
All right. And before we get started, I see so many of Eve's team members that work with her at the branches here tonight, which is one of the testaments of how much she means to her staff, and I think that's just wonderful, so thank you all for coming. Eve's first job with PVLD was as a senior page at the Malaga Cove Library. She did such an amazing job, she was promoted to branch library assistant the following year, and then less than a year after that, she was promoted to customer service / circulation manager. After Eve earned her master's degree in library science, she was promoted again to branch manager, overseeing operations at the Miralest and Malaga Cove libraries. Eve has done a tremendous job managing all of the events and services that are part of running branch libraries. Her work over the past few years enhancing procedures for weddings and art exhibitions at Malaga Cove has truly gone above and beyond. The Malaga Cove Art Gallery is now such a popular exhibit space that it is booked a year and a half in advance, and even beyond that, there is a lengthy waiting list. Eve not only oversees the art receptions, but she does a wonderful job building these relationships with artists and with the art community. But when it comes to her staff, Eve has a gift for fostering a supportive environment where team members can grow, contribute creatively, and feel valued. This translates directly toward excellent customer service, which I know is a high priority for Eve. Taken all together, Eve's day-to-day work, her commitment to her team, her collaborations with staff district-wide have resulted in a patron experience at our branch libraries that I believe is second to none. And Eve will tell you the best part of her job is hearing from the community members about their love for the Palos Verdes libraries, how much they enjoy the programs and services, and how deeply they appreciate the library staff and the work that branch staff members do each and every day. These patron testimonies are not only a validation of the hard work that goes into serving the community, but they are also a reflection of Eve's direct impact on PVLD. So please join me in congratulating Eve on 20 years of service. Yes.
It really is kind of overwhelming to be here and celebrate 20 years. I think John and Emily said some nice words about that as well. It's a privilege to be here. I do also want to say thank you to our leadership. Jen, I think you're an amazing library director. And more often than not, when we ask if we can do some crazy thing, the answer is yes. So thank you for that, and having a wonderful board and community to support us. It's truly, truly a pleasure to help the people that come through our doors every day. So thank you all so much.
Thank you and congratulations. The final group of employees to be honored this evening have been with the district for 25 years. They're all direct reports to Deputy Director Roy, so luckily he's sitting right next to the podium. And he's back up there to first honor Digital Services Manager David Campbell.
And let me say what an honor it is to be the supervisor fortunate enough to have 3 25-year milestones amongst my team, which is so wonderful. And as we've heard people say already tonight, is a testament to the work environment here and how supportive it is and what a great place it is to work. And pictured here, a little fun fact, is David with his father, Don, who was also a librarian, who was instrumental in starting up the library at Marina del Rey. And since I talked to David about this beforehand, I know he won't mind me saying that he was 25 years old when he first took this job at PVLD. So that means it's a particularly meaningful milestone for David because he spent half his life now serving the Palos Verdes Library District and the surrounding communities. Prior to joining PVLD, he was a library page, as many of us were, at Malibu, and a library assistant in Calabasas. But his first ever full-time job was as the information services librarian at PVLD. He also worked as the web operations librarian here before being promoted to his current position as the department manager for digital services. David is consistently quick to help out other staff and other departments, whether that's updating the website or the PVLD newsletter with fresh content, or serving on job interview panels, or working the reference desk when they're short-staffed, or even answering the bell in the administration desk when they're short-staffed. He is flexible and available to help in any situation. Some of his accomplishments over the past few years include overseeing a very detailed accessibility compliance review of the PVLD website, in addition to all of the regular website updates and maintenance that he does. He did an implementation for an entirely new PVLD mobile app platform, which I know a lot of us use and many, many people out in the community use, so that was a big project for him. And he also handled the setup for a whole new study room reservation system. And these are all fairly recent. When you get into these 25-year staff members, you know that you could stand up here for probably an hour listing all of the things that they've accomplished over 25 years. So we're just picking a few of the past and most recent ones. But in addition to all of his regular duties, David is part of the Strategic Initiatives team, which guides PVLD's strategic planning process. He's on the Incident Response team, which supports library staff in tricky situations. He's on the Safety Committee, the Programming Committee, the Graphic Design team, and he has long served and supported the PVLD staff as a union steward. Please join me in congratulating David on 25 years of service.
I don't have too much to say. I just want to thank everyone. I'm grateful and thankful that I have a job here, and I love my job here. And thanks, everyone.
And next up, honoring Laura Henry, our Young Readers Manager.
Hi, Laura. I don't think I could overstate just how much Laura does for her staff and coworkers, and the impact that her work as the manager of the Young Readers Department has had on this community over the past 25 years. Laura is a genuinely kind, caring, respectful, and empathetic leader. She has an innate ability to listen, to solicit feedback, to understand perspectives, and to find consensus, all of which contribute to a highly effective department, a department that provides an outstanding experience for our community's young readers and their caregivers each and every day. During her time at PVLD, Laura has worked hand in hand with many PVLD departments to oversee interior design improvements in the children's and teen spaces at Peninsula Center in terms of both square footage and functionality, This has included rearranging shelving to improve sight lines, opening up more spacious play areas, widening browsing aisles, increasing the study space for teens, and a significant remodel in the storytime room, which included the tunnel through the wall that the kids absolutely love. Throughout that time, Laura held steadfast a dream of bringing the teen annex into the footprint of the Peninsula Center Library, which took many years and a lot of collaboration to achieve, but the new teen annex opened its doors on the roof of PC in the spring of 2023. Despite her many achievements, Laura will tell you that her favorite part of working at PVLD all these years is the people. A district-wide staff that are dedicated to their work and fantastic to collaborate with, and a young readers department that is, in her words, fun, creative, and awesome. I feel those words accurately describe Laura as well. Please join me in congratulating Laura on her 25 years.
Thank you, Ryan. That was really nice. Everybody has, I'm just going to repeat what people who have come up here have said. This is an amazing place to work. Everybody I've ever worked with has been so delightful to work with. Administrators, coworkers, team members, everybody. I've worked at other libraries besides this one, although it has been over 25 years, and they've all been good, but this one is special. This one is very special. We love working here. We love our jobs. We're completely dedicated to serving our community, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
And finally, honoring Mary Kochman, the Technical Services Manager.
Okay, here's a fun fact. As many of you know, this year PVLD won the Susan Siemens Founders Award for our participation in the annual Holiday Parade of Lights. Well, Mary remembers the first year PVLD participated in the parade in the early to mid 2000s. That year, several PVLD departments dressed up book carts with festive decorations, and the library staff pushed the carts around the parade route. So I feel like the district probably should have won that year too, but then again, we were just getting started. Mary has worked at PVLD since March of 2000 when she was hired as the Information Services / Technical Services Librarian. In the following year, she was promoted to her current position, Technical Services Department Manager. Over the past 2.5 decades, Mary has done an amazing job coordinating with her team to keep pace with the influx of books and other physical items for the library collections, and she has worked on countless special projects, most recently revising and updating PVLD's collections recovery plan, working with librarians on expanding PVLD's world languages collection, assisting with a project that re-envisioned how PVLD's biographies are shelved and classified, and collaborating on a project to update the library's catalog database with more accurate and inclusive subject headings. This past year, Mary received quite an accolade from the California Library Association when she was presented with the 2025 Technical Services Award of Merit, which is an annual award that acknowledges superior achievement by an individual in the area of technical services. Mary has been involved with CLA's Technical Services Interest Group since 2006, and she has served as a presenter at the CLA Annual Conference 4 times in the past 10 years. She was also instrumental in getting a monetary prize attached to CLA's Emerging Leader Award. For all of her contributions to the Palos Verdes Library District and to the broader community of California librarianship, we congratulate Mary on 25 years of dedicated service.
Thanks, everyone. I don't have a lot to say. I was just joking with Jennifer. When I got the Technical Services Award at CLA, I got my check, but they didn't have my plaque. And it showed up 3 or 4 weeks ago in the mail. So, but thank you, everyone. I've always appreciated the people I've worked with. It's been great to work alongside Laura and David. we all kind of started at the same time. Jennifer as well, although she took a break but came back. But thank you, everyone. I appreciate this word.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to all of our honorees tonight. Thank you for your commitment to the district and your service over all these years. We're so grateful. We'll now take I know it says 20-minute, but I think 15 minutes should be okay. A 15-minute recess to celebrate, enjoy refreshments. There's a beautiful PVLD-themed cake that we can share and enjoy together, and some group photos to be taken. So we will adjourn for 15 minutes, and we'll be back at, where are we? At 6:51.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, we're ready.
All right, 6:56, we're reconvening our regular meeting. And we will start this next, the rest of the meeting, we'll start with the Peninsula Library Friends Foundation Annual Report, which will be presented by President Susan Paul, who's joining us virtually or digitally. Welcome, President Paul.
And she's just come over from the attendees side into the panelist side. So, President Paul, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself and give your report. I do see that she has joined us. President Paul, can you hear us? Maybe some technical difficulties. We'll see if we can reach her.
I'm going to try and send her a quick text.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
We see that you're unmuted. Can you try to speak again?
Can you hear me now?
It's a little muffled. Are you guys hearing that?
We can't really hear it all, unfortunately. Are you on a just on a laptop microphone by any chance, or are you able to increase your volume?
I have it up all the way.
Can we do anything?
That's in the microphone.
Is there any way that, so you have no a method of increasing your volume on your side by any chance?
Well, I got it up all as far as it'll go. You still can't hear me? Can you
No,
hear
it's
me
still-
better now?
Still very difficult to
Yes.
hear. We can almost make out your voice, but can't hear much.
Maybe she caught you on her cell phone.
Could we maybe,
Yeah, I mean, what are some other options,
Or she
guys?
could zoom in on her cell phone, too.
Could you try and access this on your cell phone by any chance?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me any better now?
yes. that's
Yes,
better.
we can hear you much better now.
Okay, great. So I'm on my cell phone, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if we could ask you to just speak up as loud as you're able, but we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulty, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I wanted to provide you a few highlights of PLFF activities last year and some key initiatives moving forward into 2026. In November, PLFF published its first ever annual report. The report was the result of feedback from 2024 focus groups where our donors had asked for us to provide really more transparency about, what we were supporting with the library, what we did with donations, and so on and so forth. And so we published our first report in November of 2025. The report covers PLFF's history, its goals, support of the libraries through communication, engagement, and fundraising. It outlined our financial support, and it gave basically the specific donations that we've made to the library from 2022 to present, which would have been the 2025 budget year. It highlighted our 2024 fundraising goals, and it highlighted our endowment fund and the use of those funds covering the Deep Valley entryway. The report highlights, pardon me, our donors. It listed basically all of our donors, and it summarized our new membership structure. The report is online on our website, and you can view it there. In 2025, we also implemented a new membership structure, and we continue to work on fine-tuning and implementing that structure. We rebranded the PLFF, giving it a new look and feel, and you've seen our new logo. We are We also launched a new website, and we continue to work on that website to make it more interactive, um, for those that are visiting the site. In 2026, we will begin our strategic plan update. We will launch a new online newsletter, not published monthly. We haven't decided if it will be biannual or maybe quarterly, but there will be a new online newsletter. We will work with the library on the Deep Valley entryway, and primarily coming up soon is the brick, policy and decisions around the entryway bricks and the furniture for the entryway. And basically, I would just say that, we look forward to the year ahead, and strengthening our support of the library and strengthening our partnership as well. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Does any trustee have any comments or questions with regards to the report from President Paul?
We appreciate it, Susan.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'm sorry sorry about the sound.
Came through okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Susan, I have, thank you so much. I have a question about whether you're planning to do any sort of big fundraiser like you used to in the past, how that's changing or evolving going forward.
Are you talking about the annual gala that we used to have?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're looking, there are several things within the membership structure that are like promised events and different things. The annual gala was a ticketed event, and we are talking about what we may do. So I don't know if it'll be in the same form, but I am assuming, and look, we think we will do something. We just don't know what it is at this point.
Right. Thank you for your report.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, all the best.
Okay. Okay.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a facilities update with Facilities Manager Gutierrez.
Hello again. We've got some pretty good news as we're moving forward on the Deep Valley Walkway. We do have a start date of February 17th, so that is very exciting. We've been working on with the contractor and architect on the backside of things, making sure that they have timelines and all of their milestones hit and subs under contract, and making sure that we're good with the cities and all of that. And within the first, on the 17th or the 18th, we were talking about having a groundbreaking with our community and having a press release and obviously board members and staff and the contractors and the architects there present as well. It will be a few month project that will be impacting the access to the Deep Valley entryway, where we will be creating a walkway path to maintain access into that area. But towards the end of the project, one of the last things that we need to do is to actually replace all the doors in that entire glass wall. And when we do that, we will need to shut down access into that walkway. But we are going to mitigate as much as possible, because that is our most used door in this building. And so we'll be working directly with, my team will be working with public and a lot of other staff to make sure that we can, maintain access there. So that is a big thing that we've been working on, and we're excited to be getting started on that. And we should be started on that by the time the next board meeting rolls around. So we should have more updates on that. We do have a few meetings on that next week, and we're excited to be moving forward and in this phase finally of that project. Yes.
Did you say you're having the groundbreaking on February 17th?
Well, we're not 100% sure, to be quite honest. The very first day, February 16th is President's Day. So while the library is open to the public, many of the contractors will not be working. It's a forced closure day for contracting. So if we start the project on the 17th, which is a Tuesday, we wanted to do a groundbreaking ceremony, even if it's just, a 20-minute kind of photo opportunity, get everybody together. So we're still and I apologize for taking over for you, Facilities Manager Gutierrez, but we're still in discussion with the contractors to establish like what that best time would be. We're hopeful that it would be the 17th or 18th. The 19th is our board meeting, so my hope is that everybody's in town that week because Thursday is the board meeting. But as we continue the conversations with the contractors and figure out, apologies, exactly what that would look like, but tentatively maybe, a half an hour on the 17th or 18th, a little bit of a golden shovel moment where we can take some photos, invite the press, invite the board of the foundation, and just kind of do a kickoff and be able to promote that. The whole project, we think, may be about 3 months.
Yeah, we're dialing it in currently, but yeah, it'll be a few months project. Obviously, that's without weather delays and things of that nature, but we are looking at a few month project, yes.
So we've already put posters in the foyer to show people that it's coming. Both the reference desk and circulation desk have a full set of the architectural renderings and just key points about what's going to happen with the entryway. Digital Services Manager David Campbell, who was just recognized this evening, created a link on the main website that goes to a page that has the photos of the renderings and like what's coming. It shows the start date, and our hope is that we'll be able to continually update that with if there, at some point there will be a full Deep Valley entrance closure. There has to be, in order to get the new glass sliding doors in. But like Facilities Manager Gutierrez said, we're trying to mitigate what that closure would look like, trying to see as we get closer how we can schedule that in the most
Any idea how many days that will
impactful way.
It would be safe to plan for about a week at this point in time, on Monday through Friday.
Or 3?
Yeah.
I keep pushing Daniel, and he keeps
there's
pushing back. So
there are best case scenarios
Yeah.
that definitely involves. They do have to demo the whole thing, which they could do ahead of time, which might speed up the process. But when they're putting it all back, we will have to shut it down, and it is going to be the last thing that they do because they also don't want to risk ruining that new portion that the new glass and doors with some heavy construction for the walkway. So just about everything will be completed, and then that will go in at the very end. So we will have plenty of time to let staff and patrons know, and plenty of time to be able to try to dial it in to make sure it's as efficient as possible so that the closure is as short as possible. And so yes, we might be able to complete everything in about 3 days, but there are things that might go wrong, or things that
Shame.
adjustments
We'll figure it
and
in 3
testing that
days.
might need to happen that might push it a little bit with the brand new doors and the brand new entire glass wall. And so I'm trying to say let's try to maintain it as like a Monday through Friday, and then go from there.
Is there a safe way to provide access through the lowered parking lot, the underground parking lot for pedestrians to walk?
Which underground parking lot? On the second floor?
Ours?
Yes, ours.
I mean, there's immediate access from our parking lot. I mean,
I know, but for pedestrians to walk, like if they have to walk around somehow to get into the library, they can come in from upstairs or?
anybody parking on the roof has immediate access.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody parking on the second level has immediate access. So the hardest thing will be anybody who might want to park in the parking lot adjacent to the library,
Right.
which is not our parking lot, but of course gets used, a lot. And the only way to do that would be to walk down the sidewalk and up the driveway. So we could try to create some sort of
There's-
barrier so they could walk up that little small
Well, there's-
sidewalk. There's a lot of things we're exploring.
The main thing that we're going to do is try to funnel people to the roof.
Yeah.
First and foremost, to the roof.
To park on the roof.
If
you need to come here.
I am planning on having a decent staff footprint during that time that the doors are down so that we can direct staff or patrons into the building in different ways. There is a different way of access if there is some ADA issue that we need to address and bring somebody from the Deep Valley. I do have a pathway in place that we will go around and kind of go in through next to the reference restrooms. And so that is part of the plan that I've been putting together so that if there is somebody that absolutely needs to access that floor without us being able to get them either to the roof or the Deep Valley side, we will be able to escort them into the library. Yes.
Thank you for
But-
addressing that.
Yeah,
Not a
but for
problem.
anybody who is able, we would absolutely suggest they park on the second level or the rooftop, because both of those levels are ADA accessible.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Any questions?
Just one last point, I'm sorry.
No problem.
To go back to what we were calling it, the ribbon cutting or.
Oh, groundbreaking?
Groundbreaking. One thought, I think we are chamber members, is perhaps to promote that through the chamber. They
Yeah.
do that ribbon cutting, so they might help us to
Absolutely.
publicize that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then once we have that, we'll call it kind of a program that where it works out in the construction schedule in the first couple of days, because we do want to do it in the very beginning before things are impeded too much. And so the first days, is getting in gates and setting things up, and that might be a good opportunity for us around lunchtime to do that. But once we do get that dialed in for the schedule, we'll definitely broadcast that out everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Is it possible to go ahead and just on a temporary basis, like designate an extra handicap parking on the roof and in the garage?
There's a possibility that we might be able to do that. We would take up more spaces, but there's a possibility that we might be able to create some signage to make that happen.
Yeah, because
If
I'm
we-
just thinking to myself, yeah, you're right. If someone could get to the drive up to the roof and or go to the garage, if there was just one more handicap space, that might take care of the accessibility.
There are 3 rarely used
Oh, they're not-
handicap
I
spaces
was
on the
just going to
roof.
say, we actually don't have a lot of problems with
Okay, so we don't-
handicap accessibility.
Okay.
It's just reminding and ensuring that the word gets out to the patrons
Okay.
to
Correct.
please park. And I think to Daniel's point, when we have people walking up and saying that closure period, saying, oh, wait, what? We could say, just pull out and pull in the next driveway and park on the roof, and then there's full handicap accessibility.
Okay, so even in regular times, we've got plenty of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Deep Valley and that adjacent parking lot that we share with reciprocal parking, there's a lot of people that do end up parking there and they use those handicaps because it's right there for the library.
Yeah.
But we have an equal amount of those handicap parking spots on the roof that are hardly ever used.
Okay.
I'm just concerned, though, because I do think, as you said, most people park in the parking that's not ours. And I'm just not sure if our roof parking and our underground parking, which is very compact, will accommodate everybody. So if people are still going to park off-site, if we want to call it that, I just want to make sure they have a safe route, if they can walk, if they're ambulatory, to get up into the roof or underneath the
Right.
access. And I feel like walking down into the bottom one is kind of fraught with peril at the moment. So maybe we just need to, I just want to make sure that we're being safe or providing safe access for everyone.
Yes, that is, we are building an entire plan for when that does happen for those days that we do have to close the doors. And so,
Thank you, that was really what I was trying.
not a problem.
Thank you.
We had kind of a little bit of a run of it. A couple of years ago, the doors went out over here and we needed to replace them in a pretty quick manner. And so at that point, we were needing to guide people into the library and give access where we needed to. And so we're basically taking that plan and kind of re-implementing it and lengthening it because that was a single day. So, yeah.
I would just add, if at some point you discover that you do need to reconsider handicap parking, just make sure that once you give it, it's very difficult to take things away.
Yes.
And so just make sure that
Absolutely, and there's
Temporary.
Yeah.
there's ADA path restrictions that we need to be aware of when we are putting, another handicap spot in that second floor. That pathing is going to be extremely difficult. On that roof, we might be able to look at some other things, and there we would still have to be striping it, even though it's temporary. So we will try to use what we have in place, because it seems like, those 3 spots that we have in the Deep Valley reciprocal parking, there are 3 spots on the roof that are hardly used. Because if we did have to do a temporary handicap space, it'll be a complex system just to get that space temporary, and then we'd have to go back and remove all of that also.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is that we have plenty of space. Just for whatever reason, people seem to like using the easement handicap parking as opposed to
Correct.
our handicap parking.
Correct. Okay, anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up is our annual review of policy number 7035, the investment policy. So I'll turn it over to Finance Manager Lou if he's
He will be
connected.
joining us in 1 second.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Every January, policy number 7035 is reviewed and any updates are discussed and incorporated into the policy. There are no changes to the policy at this time. If there are no questions, there is a recommended action.
Are there any questions or comments on the investment policy as presented? All right, so it is an action item. Can I have a motion to approve the recommended action outlined in the memo?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Easton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this passes. Thank you, Finance Manager Liu. Now we'll look at board meeting locations and dates for this year, 2026. And I'll turn it over to Director Addington. It has 2 parts to it we'll consider separately. So, Director Addington.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yes, the trustees have a memo in their packet regarding the upcoming board meeting locations and dates for the 2026 year. All of our board meetings are regularly scheduled for the 3rd Thursday of the month, and they are all here at the Peninsula Center Library at 6 p.m. However, every year we try to have 1 meeting at the Malaga Cove Library and 1 meeting at the Mirror West Library. Typically, Executive Assistant Bender reaches out to Branch Manager Eve James and reviews the calendar, reviews what upcoming events that they might have, any specific challenges that might come up in any particular month, particularly the summer reading program that can be very impactful, especially at the Mirror West Library. As the trustees know, the board meeting at the Mirror West Library takes up the main library floor, and for, albeit 1 day, but it is rather disruptive for that 1 day. So in discussion with the branch manager, staff is suggesting that we go to the Malaga Cove Library Community Room in May and the Mirror West Library main floor in August. I also will say that the May change accommodates this room being a polling place. So in May, the Peninsula Center Library will be a polling place, so it furthered the option of moving out of this library in May. So as President Butler mentioned, there are 2 considerations, but I wanted to do these individually because the first one is to accept all the meeting dates and times, which would be here at Peninsula Center at 6 p.m., with the exception of May 21st at the Malaga Cove Library and August 20th at the Mirror West Library. And if we were to make that motion and accept it, then the next item for conversation would just be another exception, but it wouldn't change anything else about all the other dates. So My hope is that we can do one that just accepts everything and then potentially discuss the one other alternate exception. So in your memo, you see there is a recommended action, which is that the board would approve the board meeting schedule as presented with the May 21st meeting at Malaga Cove and the August 20th meeting at Merrill West.
Are there any comments or questions? Can I have a motion to approve the board meeting schedule as presented for 2026?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Secretary Wittenbury. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it passes. Okay.
Thank you, trustees, appreciate that. So the next item on this same memo is a consideration I'd like to put forward to the board to potentially change not the date, but the time of the February 19th meeting. The Palos Verdes Rotary Educator of the Year event is scheduled for that evening, Thursday, February 22nd. The event begins at 5:45 or 6 o'clock, depending on what time you'd like to show up, and it is basically in direct conflict with our board meeting. This is a very well-regarded and well-respected event. Many of us have been to it in the past. It often does not conflict. It just so happens that this year it does. I do think that the board enjoys this event. I think that going to these social events gives the board an opportunity to come together outside of the board meetings and enjoy camaraderie, meet other people, be a part of the community events. So I would simply like to present an option, and the board can consider it or not. But the option would be perhaps to not move the date, to not move it to another time or another day, but to simply move the time. This room is available to us the whole entire day. We would have plenty of time to announce this to the public, to put it on our website, to change our agenda. We really could do whatever we needed to. The entire staff is available at any point throughout this day, so there's no impact to staff. So an option could be to potentially have an early meeting and maybe meet from 10 to 12 or 12 to 2 or 2 to 4. Really, any time during the day would be available. It does not mean that every trustee would have to go to the Educator of the Year event. That's not what I'm saying. But it would give those trustees who are interested an opportunity to participate in that event. So I am simply putting that forward as an option to consider for the board if it's something they want to think about, discuss, and decide on.
I would oppose it if there's any availability or scheduling conflict among the trustees. My other thought is it is a wonderful event, and I've really enjoyed it in the past. But on one hand, we often have conflicts with different. Mm-hmm. There may often be conflicts with different community groups and community events. So I'm not sure what the rest on the board, how you all feel. Maybe this one's important enough to make a modification. So we can open it up for discussion here.
Well, I'm going to say that, I have attended in the past, and it's been a wonderful event, but I have conflicts with those times, so I would be opposed to changing the time.
Any other thoughts or comments?
Well, I just feel that it would work if we were all available, but I'm hearing that we're not all available, so.
And if the board chooses not to do this, it's simply a no thank you, and no motion need be made. Yeah. And we haven't interrupted our first motion in any way, so.
Yeah. Anything else, any other thoughts or comments to add? So I think we'll just keep the schedule.
Okay.
There have been other instances when there's been conflicts with the chamber dinner, for example, where we had it on another night.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, it's just another thought, because I know you said that you couldn't attend, and it is an important event, and I think the Rotary does great work, and I know many in the community are involved, and it would be nice if we could perhaps come. So it's just throwing that out as another possibility, because I know we have moved the date of the meeting before. So
When we did that, was that 2 years ago? Was that the most
it
recent
was
time we
for
did
the
that?
chamber dinner, November.
November, right?
Yeah.
It was the Salute to Business and Citizen of the Year event.
Oh.
It was the year that the Friends of the
Friends were
Library
honored.
won. They were honored that evening. And so we did change the actual date, which is, we rarely change the date, but we did in that instance. And I believe we just moved it to the day before. So instead of doing it on a Thursday, we did it on a
It was the
Wednesday.
day before.
The actual board meeting, yeah.
And just for the record, I have conflicts all that week, so changing the day would not help. And, it's nice for us to attend, and, people.
Maybe just turn it off, yeah.
There you go. Reset, cut it back on.
And other organizations have been, making comments that they see all of us at their events. I don't really think that we all need to attend every single event, and especially when it means changing our schedule to participate.
All right. Thank you.
So it sounds like we'll just keep our regular schedule.
Any further comment? I think it sounds like
Okay, thank you.
we'll leave it as is. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item, I believe here we're going on to policy number 5020.1.b, the library borrowing card eligibility update to policy, the proposal to update policy, which includes an action item. So I will turn it over to Deputy Director Roy to go over this memo.
Yeah, thank you, President Butler. What we have before the board is a fairly simple proposal with a bit more complex background and some implications, which may merit discussion and questions. But to summarize, the proposal is simply to go back to our procedures that were pre-COVID procedures of requiring people who are registering for a borrower's card to come into the library to present their ID requirements that are outlined in our policy, so that they actually come in person and show us to that. And the background to it is that this changed during COVID as a necessity to allow people to be able to still use the library digitally during a time when our doors were closed, and even when we reopened under very limited services, allowing people to get a card and use our digital services without coming into the library. But the digital landscape has changed a lot in the past 5 years, and people are using libraries digitally in a more robust way than they were 5 or 6 years ago. What we've noticed, which had always been a very popular service to give out a card number and have it kind of exist as a digital card that people could use for online services, has been used extensively outside of the district boundaries. It's always been in our policy that we extend borrowing privileges to people of the state, anyone that lives in the state of California. But that policy was set well before the digital landscape became what it was. That policy may have been set, looking at our notes, back into like the 60s or the 70s. So obviously there weren't these kind of considerations that we have for our pay-per-use databases like Hoopla or Overdrive or Canopy, where people understand now that they can grab a library card number from a different library, even if they have a library card number at their local library, and multiply the number of checkouts that they can have for digital services. So what we've noticed is a very big rise in our cost to these digital checkouts that we have on these pay-per-use databases. So over the past 3 years, we've seen about a $70,000 rise. We've also simultaneously been looking into, who are requesting library cards, who are getting library cards. And then we're noticing that a lot of these seem to be bogus registrations where they're, just coming in online. We're not even sure if they are human registrants or perhaps what we refer to as bots that are just crawling the internet and trying to get some numbers that they can disperse out or send back to whoever sent the bot out. But the idea is that there's a lot of people registering for numbers that may not be a legitimate borrower. They're putting in bogus addresses. They're not responding to us when we reach out to them saying, hey, your address is not coming back as a residence. Do you live at this? We just get no response. And then there also may be borrowers who just want multiple library card numbers. You may have had a chance to see the map that was provided by our circulation manager to me of where people borrowed library cards from in 2025. So that's a map of the 7,400 library cards that we issued in 2025 and where they were being sent to, or they were digital cards, so where they applied from, the address that they put in. So what we're looking at this point is trying to mitigate the costs of these databases that are very, very popular. And this would just be one way to do that without restricting access to our communities, both local and statewide. Our choices are basically to limit their checkouts, reduce the number of checkouts that they have to stop mitigating costs. But what we believe is that for most of the cases where there is a legitimate person trying to get a library card in, say, Northern California, they live in a place where they have a local library who provides the exact same services we do. So it is kind of an extra checkout that they may get. So what this is proposing is that the way we did things pre-COVID was people come in to the library in person to pick up their library card and to validate their ID as outlined in our policy. This will make sure that at least the people who want to get a library card here are within driving distance of the library. We also want to make sure that anybody who legitimately wants a library card but cannot get to the library for whatever reason, whether that's a disability or transportation, are allowed to get the library card despite not being able to come in. So we are adding or suggesting language into the policy that allows for exception at the management level, which means our circulation manager would be able to deal with all of these cases. And then the way that we would implement that on the staff side is that we would add language to our actual borrower application, which when you're signing up for a borrower card, it will say on there, if you need an accommodation in any way to pick up your library card or to retrieve a library card number, please contact the staff. The way we would implement that is just if they tell us they have a disability or cannot get to the library because they have a lack of transportation, we would automatically get them a card number. We would not investigate or make a judgment in any case. We would just 100% of the time, allow those patrons to get their card number digitally. The thing that we wouldn't allow would be the people who said, well, I live 6-7 hours away. That's hard for me to drive down. Those are the people we were saying, we'd love to have you come into the library if you're ever in town, but it's becoming an issue, obviously, for us to pay the database costs, basically providing them to the entire state instead of our local service community. So what we're proposing then is that we revert back to having people come in person and clarifying that language in the policy with the with the exception, of course, of anybody who couldn't make it here for a disability or a complete lack of transportation, or any other reason that they couldn't make it here other than they just live a long way away. We don't want to restrict anyone's access, and in fact, the main reason we're doing this is so that we don't have to reduce access for our community that we serve by lowering the amount of checkouts they can have digitally, which would mitigate our costs. So we're trying to avoid that. We want our communities to still have the same number of checkouts that they've always had, and we're exploring these ways to keep those costs down. So I know that this is, a lot of ins and outs to this proposal, and I'm happy to hear thoughts from the board or any questions that you may have.
I'd also just like to add, though, that staff spent a great deal of time talking about this one. I mean, it really did generate quite a bit of conversation and quite a bit of discussions about accessibility, discussions about are we, do we have the backup in our policy to potentially say to somebody in Northern California that, please go to your local library, not to ours. And we reached out and we investigated a lot of other libraries in the community, and LAPL, LA County, Torrance, Redondo Beach, all of these libraries, to just kind of see, well, how do they handle library cards? And they're very, very upfront about saying you must come in and present ID. And then what they offer, a digital card, LAPL and LA County both have digital cards, but they are only available to LA County residents. And so we went from the extreme of kind of everybody in the entire state of California can have everything. And we even discussed, do we have a responsibility to the property tax paying homeowners of the 2 zip codes that we serve? Those people are paying property taxes that support our library. And should we limit to only 2 zip codes? And we said no, that we've never done that. We've always said that we were available to the entire community. But I think we do have to acknowledge that there's a difference in access availability to 90274, 90275, and then the South Bay, Lomita, Wilmington, San Pedro, Long Beach, and Sacramento. Because there's a lot of library districts between us and Sacramento. Now, if you come and visit your grandparents here and you want to get a library card, that's fantastic. But we just want to have, just want to be mindful about that. And to be quite honest, the policy never changed. It was just our implementation of it during COVID. So in some ways, we're kind of just reversing our implementation. The policy has always said this.
And I think the other thing is that the policy is very clear that we extend our library privileges to citizens of the state of California. But I think on a philosophical level, when that was written, it was not intended that the Palos Verdes Library District and the taxpayers in our district would fund digital databases for the entire state of California. It's just not financially feasible. So this is a way to mitigate that. It's a way that is in line with how other libraries do it. And it looks like one of our best options to not reduce access for the people who use our databases.
Kingston?
I was going to say that, as you raised in your situation, I mean, if we have someone who grew up here, they move away to college, so they change their driver's license, but they maintain a familial tie here. They come back on vacation or break. They could very easily come in. Let's say for a moment you grew up and you moved to Sacramento, but you still maintain family ties. You come and visit. Very easy to maintain it. I think that, as you say, we don't have to worry about the policy itself. It's just how we implement it.
Right.
And I think it gets to the spirit of things where if you're basically trying to retain some type of connection nexus to the community, then coming in every once in a while to go ahead and, what really disturbs me though is this whole notion where, you know, you can reach out to somebody and say, hey, you know, you requested a library card and the address information is like an empty lot.
Mhm.
You know, can you clear that up? And they don't feel any obligation to go ahead and clear it up.
Mhm.
I mean, that's basically fraud right then and there. If we were a financial institution, we'd shut it down.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think as you just said, don't worry about the policy, but the implementation of it.
So,
Go ahead, Jillian.
so as a library user who has a library card in Northern California because they had a database that no one else had down here, and this was during COVID, I drove up there to validate my existence and my address. So, you know, I do not think that is out of line, especially since other libraries are doing it. And I don't use that database so much that, you know, I'm taking a lot of their taxpayer dollars to utilize that. And so I think it's appropriate for us to implement that policy of having people come in and validate their.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So I agree with what you're trying to do. And in transparency, some of what Ryan said is in response to an email I sent because I was concerned about the language in 2C under exceptions to the above. To me, it looked like there was no objective standard for granting exceptions, and that concerned me. And so I understand that the procedure is different than the policy. However, I would be more comfortable in just changing that language a little bit so that we make it clear that any exceptions to or accommodations needed for the in-person requirement would be handled through an objective process involving an application to the district management. I think that language would handle my concern. And, you know, people do look at our policies. They don't necessarily have access to our procedures. And so I think it's important that the public see that we are having an objective standard by which we are granting these exceptions, or an objective process and procedure. I'm happy to give you that language, or you can massage it how you want, but that's
Do you want
my
to repeat that?
I was trying to write it as we were talking. And it doesn't have to be this exact language. This is a suggestion that instead of how 2C reads at the moment, it would say something like, exceptions to or accommodations needed for the in-person requirement be handled through an objective process involving application to the district management. So that we just have the words objective process in there, and that we are also acknowledging it's not just exceptions, sometimes it's accommodations.
I don't have objection to that language.
Would we need to spell out the objective?
I don't believe so, because this is the policy. I just want the policy to reflect that we're using an objective. It says it's at the discretion right now, and that language at the discretion just doesn't sit well with me, honestly.
So to clarify, that language exists in the policy in other sections, so we try to be consistent, but
Okay.
understanding where
Maybe
you're
we'll
coming from,
look at the other sections too.
So
I don't
here's
know.
a question. Do you need to rewrite it and put it on next month's agenda?
Possibly.
I don't think we need to do that if the board is willing to accept the language as presented by Secretary Wittenberry. We can approve the recommended action with the addition of the language presented by Secretary Wittenberry, and then all you would need to do is just email it to us. Or hand it to you if you have it written down, and then we can make sure that gets into the policy.
So what is the additional language?
So, and I can have Secretary Wittenberry read it again, but the crucial element of it is that that objective procedure. So
Right, but what is that objective language?
So
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think to the point was, when we say we're going to handle this through an objective procedure, but, I mean, in my eyes, if a patron needs an exception or an accommodation to the in-person, to the in-person requirement, as Deputy Director Roy stated, there's going to be a statement on the library card application itself that says, if you need an accommodation or an exception to the in-person, please contact, and we'll give email and phone number and a person's name, talk to them. And in my eyes, what that triggered is basically a professional reference interview. Because now, probably the circulation manager, Ketsi Diaz, will see that on the application, contact the patron and say, you've noted here that you needed an accommodation of some kind. Can you explain that further for me? And if the person says, as was said earlier, I'm very sorry, but I simply have no transportation. Or I'm homebound, if they're willing to share that. I mean, as
I think
was
it's very
noted,
similar to how we would handle a service
Yeah.
animal, which we have a very
like we
objective.
trust, if
Yeah.
somebody said, I am sorry, I cannot come in, we would go, okay, and we would probably help them right then and there, no matter what. So I worry about saying, we will handle this through an objective process, if nowhere we also say what that objective process is, where I think, and maybe that's the uncomfortable part, and I understand it.
Right, that's my
but
concern.
The made at the discretion is in fact at our discretion, at the discretion of management. And what is the discretion of the management? It's based on whatever the conversation that management had through a professional reference interview with the patron to determine if they needed it. Because if somebody called, I mean, it would be, to Deputy Director's point, they would literally probably have to say, look, I live in Sacramento and I ain't driving down there. And then we might say, well, maybe there's a library closer to you that would benefit your needs or whatnot. So I worry about saying an objective process if we don't have that illustrated. Yes, Kingston?
So basically, we're just going back to the way we did things pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any problems back then.
In fact, the policy as written with no changes would allow us to go right back. What we're doing here, adding the exception language, is getting the approval of the board that if somebody is homebound, we can make an exception for that. We're making sure that the board understands that we are going to be allowing people.
Yeah, I mean, my point is that if we're just simply going back to the way we did things before COVID.
Exactly.
And we had no problems back then.
That's correct.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I hear it. I still balk at the word discretion because it sounds like you could just decide to believe some people and not others. I understand that's not how you intend to implement it, but I think that's the danger, and especially the danger in the reading of it. So what if we just simplify it and we say exceptions to or accommodations to the in-person requirement will be made through application to the district management, which is in fact what you're doing.
That sounds
And we just
That
take
sounds
out
perfect,
the
yeah.
word
Through
discretion.
application to the district management.
Does that solve everyone's concerns?
Yeah, that
Makes
solves
sense.
mine.
Okay. Did you get that, or do I have to write it down?
I think we should repeat it as it will be written so that the board knows what they're voting on.
Exceptions to,
And I'd like you to add accommodations as well.
exceptions to or accommodations, or what should we say, exceptions or accommodations to the in-person requirement may be made through application to district management.
That's it.
And is that a literal, an email? It would be an email inquiry. It wouldn't be an application per se.
Well, it's
or
on the
is it-
library card application.
I see. Okay.
And then it would say, if you need an accommodation or.
And we have a lot of
an
options
exception,
there. We can
do
even
all
put a
kinds of
Google
things.
form into there where they
Right.
Yeah,
click the
we can
form
even do
and
that.
it
A
submits
form
with
of some sort.
why they need the accommodation. Yeah.
Before we go too further, I just wanted to ensure, Executive Assistant Bender, did you get that sentence? Yes, I did. Thank you. Yeah, that works fine.
Can you repeat it once more?
Exceptions or accommodations to the in-person requirement may be made through application to district management.
Which is what we're doing. So that
Can
makes
we have a motion to approve this new language and to update the policy?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion made by Trustee Easton. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you all.
Moving on to District Director Addington's monthly report.
Thank you, President Butler. You all have a copy of my monthly report in your agenda packet. There's just a few things I wanted to highlight from the report itself, and then a couple other quick updates. Started off with the winning the Susan Siemens Founders Award. Very, very pleased about that, and just want to thank all the trustees who were able to participate in the event, and to thank Trustee Uno for going to the City Council meeting and accepting our award for us. That was wonderful. We're very happy. The staff was very, very excited about that, so we did a good job, and we're already planning our next float design, so. Wanted to do a quick little highlights of some of the events in children's. As you could see this evening, we had recognition for Young Readers Manager Laura Henry and Young Readers Librarian Emily O'Hara. I think it's a testament to the kind of quality Young Readers program that happens here, to have people who've worked for 20, 25 years. There's Assistant Manager Marissa Purley is right on the heels of that. We've just had some really exceptional librarians here in Young Readers. So wanted to call out their Happy New Year celebration. It was huge. Throughout the entire afternoon of the New Year, they probably had about 500 people come in and out of the library. So it was really a wonderful, wonderful event. And also just wanted to call out the Peek into the Past program. There was about 100 participants here in this room, and they look at the American Girl dolls and talk about the history of the past and the dolls themselves. So it's a really wonderful event, and people really look forward to it. So just wanted to call that out and congratulate them. One of the other amazing things was the branch manager, Eve James, and Katrina, the assistant branch manager, hosted the National PTA Reflections Art Program at the Malaga Cove Library. And in the Palos Verdes, in the PV News, we actually were above the fold with the Legacy Project Continues at the library. So a lot of recognition for that event. It's the National PTA Reflections Art Program. There was I think it's the 4th year that they've hosted it there, and it's a lovely event, and it just gets a lot of play, and I'm really excited about it. It's one of E's favorites, and so she's always talking about how much she enjoys that one. Also, let's see, just wanted to call out that the Friends of the Library, I was actually a little surprised that Susan Paul didn't mention this during her report, but they had a December mixer. It was an invite-only event here at the Peninsula Center Library. I think there was probably about, it could have been 100 people by the time it was all said and done, but they're actively trying to engage more donor events and try and celebrate their donors and members. And there were definitely some people there who have been wonderful contributors to the library itself. So we were able to meet and greet and shake some hands, and that was a really wonderful event. So thank you all to the trustees who were able to come to that one as well. I really appreciate it. It's telling and sort of poignant to say that the Staff Pay It Forward Award recipient this month, the month of December, was the entire facilities team. Paul Fay, who's our senior accountant, she really had nothing but amazing things to say about the facilities team. And as we have heard this evening, we lost Lorenzo Orozco, who is a part of that team. I know they're a very, very close-knit team, and they were very, very sad. And we will be having a celebration of life for Lorenzo. We'll be inviting his partner, Lil, to join us here on February 6th in the main library. When we told people that it would be in the library itself, they thought that was incredibly meaningful too, because everyone said, that's where we saw Lorenzo all the time. He was always in the main floor. So we're very, very pleased that they were recognized for their amazing work. Very sad to lose Lorenzo, and we'll be acknowledging him on February 6th. Also just want a couple of other quick updates. The trustees were sent an entire Brown Act, all the statutes of the Brown Act, in an email as part of the SB 707 compliance. And you have also been given this evening the Brown Act Compliance Manual that's from the California Special Districts Association. There will also be emails. We'll share some webinars and whatnot that come up about it. But basically, with the full Brown Act and the new compliance manual, you are in compliance with the SB 707 itself. And then as we continue throughout the year, if we have any other issues that come up with Brown Act, we'll be looking at these new rules. I just wanted to also share that I personally got an email about the Form 700, so you may have also gotten that. For those of you who are required to submit, it is due by April 1, so we do have some time. But I was able to get mine done, and keep an eye out for it if you're also there. I also just wanted to say that we are continuing with our 100-year celebration committee. So we're actively kind of looking ahead and planning some different things, trying to figure out what we're going to do next and where we're going to go, and also working with the Friends of the Library on potential funding opportunities there. So that's really neat. We also officially started our new strategic plan on January 1st. So as even in the week before and the week after, as I look past in my December report and I look at what we've already done for January, one of the things that we're looking at is our One Coast, One Book, which I think fits perfectly into that learning, inspiration, and imagination part of our strategic plan. The legacy project that I just talked about talks again about that inclusion and belonging and being part of a community resource. The entryway design is that access to information and community environments, creating a better environment for our community and engaging them in partnership for that. We also recently created an internal AI committee, so we'll be looking at just how libraries engage with AI and in what manner, and I think that dovetails perfectly into that access to information and community environment. And we're in the process of hiring a new employee for the facilities department and hiring our volunteer coordinator again. We had a volunteer coordinator about 4 years ago. It's been about 4.5,
Maybe 5 now.
5 years where that position's been empty. So we are now working on that updated job description and getting a new volunteer coordinator. And I think that just speaks to both positions, to our striving for organizational excellence and access to information and community environments for our community. So working on that. I'm happy to answer any questions about my report, but I'll leave it at that for now.
What is our volunteer headcount now?
We're
It's
about
usually around 230, 250, somewhere.
I was going to say 210, but you might have a better, is it maybe around 230?
I think it's around 230.
Hasn't compared to before the hiatus with COVID.
I think we're
Oh,
back.
we're back and beyond.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know that volunteer headcount dipped quite a bit because of
Oh,
COVID.
without a doubt, yeah. I mean, people just weren't doing it. But, yeah, we have a very robust volunteer program.
Okay.
And we're excited to have a volunteer coordinator come back. And they'll be under the HR manager and coordinating all of that with them.
Part of our statistics next in the next meeting, we'll get an updated number from Sarah on exactly how many active volunteers we have at the moment.
Good.
So if it's dropped any, we'll know.
we'll have
You
to
could
see.
do a bar chart.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments or questions for District Director Addington on the monthly report? All right. Moving ahead to a discussion on the mid-year review. for Director Addington. And as you've all seen, there's included in our agenda packet a memo from Director Addington in which she's requesting that we forego the mid-year review. And I'll turn it over to Director Addington if you want to introduce
Absolutely.
the concept here.
Sure, thank you. I will admit, when I was writing this, there was a part of me that thought, am I allowed to ask this? And then I thought, yes, I am allowed to ask this. I went back to my contract, and I was in conversation with Human Resources Manager Sarah Armstrong about kind of starting the mid-year review and looking back. And the first thing I want to just clarify is the very first sentence that says, for the past several years. To be honest, it's been 2. The mid-year review process for the director started under President Park, and that was the first time there had ever been a mid-year review for the director. We did it for 2 years, and I think there wasn't quite as much value in that mid-year review as maybe we hoped, because the timing is such that it almost always butts immediately up to the actual performance review. So I went back and I looked at my contract, my actual employment contract, and there is actually a section about performance evaluation. And it clearly states that there will be, that within 30 days after the end of each fiscal year, the employee will be, which is me, will be provided a written evaluation by the Board of Trustees based on the job description, goals established, and whatnot. And then the next one says, that's B in the performance and evaluation part. And then it says within 30 days after the beginning of the fiscal year. So when I started looking at these dates, it's worded rather strangely. But if you look at the dates correctly, basically between July 1 and July 30th of every year, the board and the director should meet and do my performance review. And that's what it says. So when I started kind of looking at it and thinking as we, what has been traditionally happened, what happens for all other employees after a probationary period, unless they're under some sort of a performance improvement plan, no employee does a mid-year. We concentrate on that annual performance review. And I do think there's a lot of opportunity throughout the year, because I do meet on a monthly basis with the president of the board for guidance or for suggestions, or truly at any point, even in these monthly meetings, there could be a suggestion for me to do something differently or for me to do something better. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for coaching if you felt like I needed coaching. But I've just not found the last 2 mid-years to be particularly a good use of our time, like the best use of our time. So I would respectfully ask that we really concentrate on the annual performance review and try to dig into that one maybe a little bit more in lieu of doing a mid-year. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes, Kingston, he had his finger up a million times.
So I'm just speaking for myself, and you guys are allowed to disagree. I have not been finding these mid-year reviews useful. I do think that it is a distraction, and I think it actually takes away a little bit from the annual review. So that's it.
My question was, in terms of time, there was a year when the annual review was very late.
Yes.
But then after that, and we conducted the mid-year reviews, what month did those occur?
They've occurred in different months, to be quite honest, because again, I think the timing is such that it can be difficult to get the board together. Depends on what kind of pre-planning you need. The last one I think we did in February, which, and maybe the one before that may have been in January. I'd have to go back and look. But I think it was like in February when we actually met. And to be quite honest, to do a robust performance review in, between July 1 and July 30, depending on what you need from me, sometime, and depending on the scheduling, we almost started that back in like April in order to get ready. So I do think that the director review has been confusing over the years and maybe not as efficient as it could have been or should be. And yeah, I think it was like in February.
I know we've done the mid-year review a couple of years. I do think there was value in that. I feel it's a little more streamlined now, even if we just go back to the annual review. I think we discussed getting rid of the numbers last year, and so I do think this process has helped, but I think we have to ask ourselves whether we need to continue. And I do think that it does take a lot of time, your time.
Yeah, I mean, and if we wanted to really stick with the contract, to meet sometime between July 1 and July 30, if that's the meeting between me and the board, then usually you would like a self-evaluation sometime before that, and then it would be me submitting a self-evaluation and you guys having a conversation, and then often you having a conversation on your own, and then another meeting that's me having a conversation either with the entire board or with the president. And for the last, I think, 2 years, it's been with the entire board. So if that happens in July, then sometime in June is where you guys would probably meet on your own, which means in, April, I'm giving you my self-evaluation. It has been difficult to schedule everybody in such a way that people can have, can meet 2 weeks apart. So, yeah, it just starts to run right up against everything else. And if you want to continue that process, if the whole process is that I do a self-evaluation and I turn it into you and you have a certain amount of time to review it and then meet with me and I present it in person and answer any questions, and then either at that same meeting or at a different meeting, typically you guys would talk amongst yourselves, somebody has to write the review itself, and that's been challenging in the past. And then there's a meeting to meet with me to actually give it to me. And that's completely separate from compensation conversations, which have to happen at regular scheduled meetings.
So I'm going to say, well, for one, as the president, that one of those reviews came through. I'm surprised to hear that some people think that it was not useful. I found it useful, and so that's surprising. Also, when I reminded you in December that that we needed to schedule the mid-cycle review, I wish you had said some of these things to me then. I saw the discomfort on your face, so I recognize that you didn't want to do it, and so I wish you had said something so that we could have had a discussion about it. I will say that we have made significant strides in doing your annual review. Now, what I also will say is that in other organizations, people of your level of employment do have more than one annual review. To put everything into just July through 1 through 30 is, we miss things. And so if we just have President Butler, giving what he recognizes, it doesn't even give the rest of us an opportunity to contribute to a discussion through, except in that annual review. And so people will probably vote otherwise, but, I think that we need to maintain this mid-cycle review. And the mid-cycle review is not like doing your annual review, it's just checking in. And so it's just a conversation. You don't need to provide all of the documents that are provided. But it is necessary for us to have a conversation, to check in on things that you said you were going to do and what progress is being made on those things. Because if we just wait until the annual review, doesn't give you an opportunity to work on those things that we want you to be working on.
Do you think those could happen during regular meetings as part of the director's report?
No, because so we can't have a conversation about your performance in a public meeting. It has to be a private meeting. And so, doing anything other than what we did would not meet the objectives of what we started to accomplish. And I do think that it's important that, and in your next contract, I guess we'll have to consider this. But I do think it's important that we establish some norms that we can count on. So if we're changing every time there's a new president, that makes the performance review that much more difficult. So when I first came in, and Kingston was the president, and I just got those documents, but like no explanation of what was supposed to happen. And that's why I started asking for us to come up with a better process, because it was broken. And I think we've made some progress, and I think we shouldn't, start backtracking on that progress that we've made.
So when you say check-in, what does that look like in your mind?
So there were things that Director Addington stated that she would start doing. So we asked her.
The goals.
Yeah. And those have been accomplished, but there were other things in there that she said that she would start doing.
A check-in meaning an assessment of progress on things that were.
It's a check-in.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any thought or input?
Well, this is difficult, not having been through one
Yeah.
of these before. For me, I feel that I probably need to abstain because of that. But, in my mind, Jennifer, you would have been given, I'm sorry, Director Addington, you would have been given specific goals and objectives, right? And in a perfect world, midway through the year, we can call it a check-in or we can call it whatever we want, but we would just give you a heads up on whether we thought you were meeting those or not, or you needed to pay more attention to one or the other. I think, to Zoe's point, that so by the end of the year, there's not a big surprise. You've gone a whole year and all of a sudden you find out people aren't happy with something, right? But I'm not sure if that's exactly the process you've been using, or, so I can't really speak to the processes that have been used the last 2 years versus before that. So for that reason, I think I will abstain on any vote on this, but those are my thoughts. And I could see the mid-year review being helpful if it's done correctly, but I just don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, I think if the board is going to continue with some kind of mid-year check-in, I would definitely like some guidance then on what exactly that is. Because I spent a great deal of time putting together what I thought was a fairly comprehensive mid-year review, and it didn't feel very productive to me. So I'm not sure what it is that you're expecting then. I think just as maybe to Trustee Uno's point, the performance review has kind of changed and fluctuated depending on who's the president or depending on what's going on. The mid-year review itself only came into play 2 years ago. So it's not like it's something that is common. There's definitely no formula for how it's given or what the expectations are or what anybody would expect from it. So I think, again, if that is an expectation and the board wants a special meeting to talk about performance, I would very much like some direction on what it is exactly you want from me then, because I feel like I feel like I also have an opportunity to do that on a monthly basis with the president, talking to, when Trustee Una was the president, we met every month, talking to President Park every month, I will be meeting with President Butler every month. Those were also opportunities for me to say, well, how am I going? And there was guidance given, and there was coaching given. So it may not be from the entire board, but it was from the president. And I think there was also a lot of opportunity, even in regular meetings or even off meetings, for somebody to ask about, well, I'd like a follow-up on a project, I'd like a follow-up on what's going on. We can do those, even if it's not really what's happening with your performance, what's happening with that initiative, and we can give an update at the board meetings on those, so.
Well, I will say to that point, and this happens a lot. Lots of people go and have conversations with you, and it doesn't make it to the rest of us. And so we are a single board, and we need to start acting like it. And all of the additional conversations that are taking place without the rest of the board knowing makes it difficult for us to be on the same page.
Is it possible to have a special meeting about the mid-year review and the viability of it going forward, as also a check-in and discuss what this could possibly look like in the future as sort of an interim gap or a process
Yeah,
for
of
this
course.
year?
If the conversation is about my performance, it would be a closed session. If it's not directly about my performance, but more a conversation of what do we want to do, how do we want to structure this, then it would be an open meeting. But if we wanted to have a conversation, a special meeting about what do we want to do, and set some definite dates, because I think to Trustee Uno's point, there was really no dates established, and we often were late, or nobody was really sure when it was supposed to be done. And I think there was a point in time where the director's review, of course, coincided with the director's compensation discussion, and that we would try to coordinate that with the budget, with the final reading of the budget. That's not quite, or potentially, I should say, as impactful if the director stays on a salary range, because that can be kind of estimated by the finance manager a little easier. When the director was on no kind of salary range, when there was nothing that set that, then I think merging that, or at least coordinating that with the budget, was important, because the finance manager couldn't determine if the director, was going to get an increase or how much it would be, or not at all. Where if you stick to the salary range, it's at least a little easier to estimate. So yes, of course we can have a special meeting to discuss that, and discuss dates and times and what is it that we actually want. What does the board want from the director as far as a performance review? I mean, I think Vice President Wong can tell you that it's been everything over the years. I think there was a period of 6 or 7 years where the director didn't even get a performance review. So, I mean, it's been all over the place.
Which is why it's important that we work on maintaining some semblance of normalcy. And so you said that we had two of these mid-cycle
We've had
reviews.
two mid-year reviews.
But then you were saying that it was difficult to schedule, or, I mean, we didn't have any difficulty scheduling. And what I will say about last year, we had a lot of attendance issues that affected the schedules. But we did finish the performance review on time. And so right now, we're not talking about the annual review. Right now, we're talking about the performance review.
We're not talking, we're
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about the mid-year.
the mid-year review.
Right, yes. Yeah.
And so, that's the one piece we're talking about now.
That's all we're talking about.
And I will reiterate my belief that it did add some value to the process last year, and that we need to continue that.
Trustee Easton's suggestion of a special meeting, is that something that perhaps we could schedule ahead of our next regular meeting? Attach it to the February board meeting? Immediately prior to the regular
Oh,
meeting?
you mean meet right before
Yeah.
our regularly scheduled meeting,
Just
so
in the
it's not an
interest of
additional day
time and-
for
yeah.
us. I don't, that was the month that, next month is the educator, and so there were some scheduling.
Well, if it's right before,
It's okay.
yeah.
Like at 5 o'clock, would that give us?
But what would we be,
Checking in
Like
on-
I guess the concept is a split check-in and then also a discussion of the
Okay.
procedure. So one portion is open and public, and one portion is, we'd shut the doors for the check-in portion, I guess, if that were the case.
I mean, performance has to be
Right.
closed,
Yeah.
but anything other than actual performance would be open. So yeah, you could do half and half. You could recess to a closed session and then open it back up. But if you want to do that, I would just like some direction then on what you want from that, what you would want from me in that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, of course.
just
I mean, that would be,
yeah, which we couldn't discuss here, but, you could.
Well, you can
You could
discuss it here.
send her.
I mean, you can discuss what you want from me, but
An update on the things that you said that you would work on.
so the check-in, we would essentially be going down the list of,
Your annual review from last year, which, over time, that and things happen that maybe we're not as concrete about now, so to refresh our memories, and also because we have a new trustee here who hasn't seen it, I think it would be good to check in on that aspect as well.
And it would not, we would not need the comprehensive review that you provide of yourself.
okay.
But there were things that you stated that you would work on, and I would like to know the progress. And I think it's fair that we all know the progress.
Just to clarify, is there a list somewhere of those things?
Yes.
Okay. So Jennifer, are you understanding that's what they're asking?
Yep.
To go through the list and just say where you think you are.
Yep.
so if we were to schedule a 5 o'clock meeting on the date of the February regular meeting, does everyone feel comfortable? We'd be able to fit that check-in conversation and then also maybe the public meeting portion about the procedure going forward?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does
Yeah,
that?
that's fine.
Okay. All right. So let's try to schedule that then 5 o'clock on February 19th. And I don't think we need an action to schedule that meeting, do we?
No, it's just a
Okay.
direction to staff.
Yeah, okay. All right, are there any other thoughts or comments on this? All right, thank you, everybody, for the conversation, the discussion. Community Relations Committee report. As you all know, December was a very intense community calendar, so a lot of stuff going on. Since then, things have been pretty quiet. So the only thing I would mention is that coming up later this month, Rolling Hills Estates City Council will be going through their annual reorganization, electing a new mayor and mayor pro tem. So I think that's on the 27th of this month.
I'm sorry, which city was that?
Rolling Hills Estates.
Yeah, the email that we received.
Right, yeah. So Mayor Stigura will be recognized at the end of her mayoral term. All right, next item, Peninsula Friends of the Library Liaison Report, Director Addington and, or Deputy Director Roy. I believe the
Yeah.
meeting happened in the last few days.
Yes, it usually is the Thursday before our Board of Trustees meeting. So it was last Thursday. And it was a very standard meeting. Director Addington gave her report. She updated the foundation on the new officer roles for the Board of Trustees and gave a report about the entryway project. And Executive Director Merlin David of the foundation gave his report about events they had upcoming. I will say that if you don't already get the foundation newsletter, you can sign up for that through their website, or you could just email Merlin. He can get you on the list. Much of what they talk about in their report you can find in that newsletter, so you can know what's upcoming. Their big program for their, I think, Celebrating Our Similarities series is going to be the Lunar New Year celebration, which is on Sunday, January 25th at 2 p.m. So that'll be here in the community room, and that's their next big event they got coming up.
And I would just add to that I also had my monthly meeting with President Paul, and we talked about bringing back the ad hoc committee, or an ad hoc committee, to discuss furniture purchases for the Deep Valley entryway, and to talk about policies for the recognition bricks. So we'll be working with them on kind of creating something for that.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Trustee Easton?
Yes, nothing new as a district, special district in terms of news. Director Addington shared with me the California Library Association email recently, and Governor Newsom did present the 26-27 budget in January, and there's no proposed increases to any library programs in the state library portion of the budget. Status quo, which means it's $1.8 million in ongoing funds dedicated to the California Library Services Act that supports the libraries. But the state parks program, which has been very popular, was a one-time funding item, but now will be an ongoing item. So it won't have to be reevaluated at each budget cycle. And the lunch at the library remains funded at $3 million in ongoing funds. So that's what I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. At this point, I wanted to announce appointments to board committees for, oh, there is one little typo, 2026. On the forming the Community Relations Committee, I would like to invite Trustee Easton and Trustee Wittenberry to serve on the Community Relations Committee. And then for the board's Government Relations Liaison this year, I would invite Trustee Uno to serve in that role. And if anyone does not concur, I guess you may speak now, but I think we can move on. Items for future agenda. I guess Director Addington, you can go over what we have in store coming up.
Thank you. On our standard February meeting, we have our mid-year budget. We also do a year-end statistical review of 2025. I'll continue to do an update on facilities, just to keep us in the know of what's going on there. And right now, those are all the standards.
And then as it stands now, we have two special meetings coming up. One next Thursday, mentioned the budget workshop.
Budget
and then,
workshop is next Thursday, and then we'll try to get something, well, before the February meeting.
Right. Hopefully a room is available for that 5 o'clock slot. But anything else anyone wants to add or propose for future agenda items?
I was curious because you were mentioning about the strategic plan being, implemented this month. Do we have a set time in our calendar year coming up where there will be an update on the strategic plan? Is that planned for one of the upcoming months? I know this is just the beginning. Did we decide on a mid-year kind of check-in on that? I don't remember.
We don't have anything established.
We don't have anything established, but we just started with the new one. So it's just something to keep in mind for future agendas.
Okay.
President Butler, as a rule, Director Addington and we always reserve the room. Before each board meeting, we reserve both rooms, the conference and Purcell room, for potential special meetings that might pop up. So we do have availability.
Well, that's very prudent. Thank you. The next and final item, given the sad news of our colleague Lorenzo Orozco's passing, I would like to adjourn our meeting today in memory of Lorenzo. And we I hope we can all honor his many dedicated years of service to the district. And as we've heard tonight, he's very beloved among his colleagues here at the district, and I know he will be greatly missed. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Trustee Easton to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. We are adjourned at whatever, 8:34.